This episode of iFanboy is brought to you by Netflix and GameFly.
So The Losers. What does this have to do with the Beck song?
It's not related.
It's different.
To
It's different.
Well, they use the song in the movie, though, right?
I don't think that would fit.
They missed the boat there. Talk about a gold mine and just leaving it on the table.
The video show from the comic book discussion website, iFanboy.com. Still a mouthful. I am Josh Flanagan.
I'm Conor Kilpatrick.
And I'm Ron Richards. And today we're talking about one of the books, a book that was recently published by Vertigo. It's got a long history at DC Comics and has a movie coming out, and it's called The Losers.
It's not scalped?
It's not scalped. No, not scalped.
Where's that scalp movie?
Where
Where is that scalp movie?
So
I prepared all wrong for this show.
the movie coming out this April stars Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who was in The Watchmen, and some other, and Chris Rock. No, what's his name?
Chris Rock?
Chris Rock. What's his name? The kid from the Fantastic Four. What's his name?
Johnny Storm.
Evans.
Johnny
Chris
Storm.
Boy,
Chris
I
Evans.
don't think of Chris Rock at all.
But anyway,
There's Finn.
so
What's
it's
the
coming
character
out,
name Rock?
It's coming out this April, and we're going to talk about the movie in a little bit, but we thought it'd be a good time to take a look at the title, to look at its history, as well as the book that inspired the movie. And
Well, it's not one of the more better-known books,
Yeah.
so you may have seen the trailers and you may be wondering, what is this all about? I haven't read the book.
It's one of those movies that like my brother-in-law and my dad will go see, and then
yeah.
I'll be like, oh, that was based on a comic book. And they'll go, really? Because it's not superhero.
Well,
You know,
the big DC Vertigo
also-
logo.
They don't know what that
It's
means.
also one of those comic books that everybody knows about, but nobody read it. Or like, oh yeah, I've been meaning to read that. I'm going to get it. Like a lot of people didn't pick it up.
Yeah.
And so we will be talking about whether that was a mistake or not.
It was. But so as far as the historical standpoint, The Losers was a title that was started in the 60s. Actually, it was created by Robert Kanigher, who was an editor and writer at DC Comics for a very long time, and a crazy man, if you read some of his old Flash stories. But DC had a whole line. DC was ringing the war stories bell for years.
They had a lot of genre books.
Yeah, they did a lot of genre books, and you would think that like, the Losers, the team itself that makes up the Losers, is a team from World War II. But they made their first appearance in the late 60s, in 1969. So DC was still doing World War II stories even then.
Yep.
They first came out. They first appeared alongside the crew of the Haunted Tank in an old
That's
war
what you
comic.
don't want.
Yeah, yeah.
Tank is bad news as it is.
The Haunted
Haunted?
Tank, yeah. But and it basically the premise was that they were all the characters were representatives from each of the armed forces. So you had a Marine, you had an Air Force, you had somebody from each one, and they all led a command where somebody died, and so they dubbed themselves the Losers because they weren't very lucky because their reports died.
As opposed to how we are losers.
It's a whole different kind of loser.
Sad face. Anyway, so
he didn't mean that.
but if you look at it, the stories that Robert Kanigher wrote were drawn by some of the great artists of that time. I mean, you had Joe Kubert, John Severin,
Russ Heath.
Yeah.
like saying that name.
So those are some great stuff. Until 1971ish, 72, 73, in the early 70s, Jack Kirby started writing.
Well,
When
when did
Kirby
he
came
go?
to DC.
Yeah.
72.
Exactly. So it was one of those books that
I
Kirby.
can't believe I can say things like that. Yeah, 72. He went across the street.
So Kirby came over, and he, in
It's not
addition
true.
to
He lived in California at the time.
In addition to doing all the Fourth World stuff they did at DC, he took on the Losers, and he did a run that a lot of people now loved and was recently collected by DC Comics. You can pick it up in a hardcover in like one of those omnibus Jack Kirby's The Losers.
But then,
Not so much.
not so
apparently,
much,
apparently,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
this is weird. This is a constant. I don't know if
Comic
you've
book fans
noticed.
have never liked
They
change.
don't like change.
Not at all.
As long as it's the same story every month
See,
for the rest of
now
your
they
life.
go, Losers. Back then they would be like,
They read a letter.
They wrote, like,
read an
Civil War.
angry letter.
and then they put their address at the
Dearest
Yeah.
Martha.
But so
Mrs.
So for years, when people talked about the Losers, it would be Jack Kirby's Losers, and that was kind of the volume that people kind of held up as the example of the Losers. The Losers were in DC continuity.
Yeah.
They
World War
were
II
part
books
of
were all DC
World War
continuity.
II, and until they were written out of DC continuity in Crisis of Infinite Earths.
Get that big broom and sweep it all away.
Where I
But-
believe in 1945 they helped fight the Anti-Monitor.
Yeah.
Which,
They all were in the fight. Sergeant Rock was in the fight. Everybody was in that fight.
Yeah.
But even like they even showed up in the New Frontier. That's
Yeah.
where I
Yeah.
really first got exposed to them, and I think I read that.
Well,
around
that's
the same time.
appropriate. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I read that around the same time as this book, and I was really confused then.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were
Oh,
very similar time frame. Yeah.
So, But
Flash forward.
Yeah, so it was one of those characters that DC had on the shelves. After Crisis, nobody did anything really with them. And then DC Comics has the Vertigo imprint. And if you look at what Vertigo has done, a lot of the stuff, while there's been some great creator creations that have come out of Vertigo, every now and then they'll pull something off the DC archives. These characters that
Sandman,
Swamp
they
Thing.
just tried the Haunted Tank. The Unknown Soldier's going strong. We talked about that.
So.
And then Losers is just another example of this, where they took one of their older properties, updated. It doesn't really have anything to do with what came before. It's not a canon, not a continuity kind of thing.
They took the premise of a team of guys from different parts of the military who are unlucky. I guess that was the main premise.
Sort of. I mean, the team in this is they're all
special forces.
It's an ex-Delta Force unit. They were a unit, so they weren't actually from different forces.
So what we got here is Andy Diggle, who is a writer. He was primarily an editor before this, but he'd been writing some stuff in the British comic scene, and Jock, who was an artist, and they'd worked together.
They did a lot of stuff for
2000 AD.
Yeah. Part of that whole, when we talk about British creators coming over, they're in that whole grouping.
Mega City, is that what it's
called?
Yeah, Mega City 1 or something
Mega
like that.
City, was something that they'd done, but it didn't really make much of an impact in the States. And so this was their big first book in the U.S. And it was, like they said, it was a take on the Losers from before, but they changed it around a little bit. This is an updated one where they were on a mission in Afghanistan. They were a special forces team from the army, and they were working for the CIA at the time, and they were sent in to a mission in Afghanistan, and it went badly. Because of various reasons. Like, they were supposed to be doing something they disagreed with, so they scrapped the mission, and then they were believed to be killed. And that's where we are at the beginning of the story, and they're criminals.
This all sounds very familiar.
It does.
It's a team of men that do not exist.
and
if you can find them,
they'll help you.
They will help you.
It wasn't in 1977.
So we're going to take a break, and we come back, we're going to talk about that similarity.
Thanks to Netflix for sponsoring this episode of iFanboy. With more than 12 million members, Netflix is the world's largest subscription service, streaming movies and TV episodes over the internet and sending DVDs by mail. For $8.99 a month, Netflix members can instantly watch unlimited TV episodes and movies streamed to their TVs and computers, and can receive unlimited DVDs delivered quickly to their homes. With Netflix, there are never any due dates or late fees. Members can select from a growing library of titles that can be watched instantly, and a vast array of titles on DVD. Among the large and expanding base of devices that can stream movies and TV episodes from Netflix right to members' TVs are Microsoft's Xbox 360, Sony's PS3, and Nintendo's Wii game consoles. Find the movies you love easily. You can browse, search, or see their recommendations for you. They even have a special back-of-the-box feature that lets you see the detail of any movie instantly. As a Netflix Unlimited member, you get DVDs by the mail in about one business day. Watch as many movies as you want, shipping is free, and there are no late fees or due dates. Unlimited plans start at just $8.99 a month. And as a new member and an iFanboy viewer, you can get a free trial membership. Go to www.netflix.com/iFanboy, sign up now, and be sure to use that URL so they know we sent you.
So you've got a special forces team that mission goes wrong. Now they're on the wrong side of the law. They're on the run, as you said.
Do you think they like when a plan comes together?
There are similarities to the A-Team.
Well, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
That guy does not have a mohawk.
That guy's not crazy.
It's funny because in the first, they are an ex-Delta Force team, which is what the A-Team was. We're referring to the classic 80s television show, the A-Team.
Which is soon to be another movie.
Also in the film.
The trailer was awesome.
It was awesome. In the first volume,
there's
been 5 volumes, in case you can't see this. There's 5 volumes. In the first one...
this clears it up.
There's 5 of them.
Right.
They the designations that they were Delta Force A Alpha, so that's the A team. So they were actually
they kind of nod.
They kind of nod to the fact that it's basically the A team scenario.
But the thing is that that comment has come up when people who haven't read the book saw the trailer. Like, this seems awful. Yes, it's a trope, but it's done well.
What's really interesting about it is that what it is it's totally Andy Diggle loving that kind of stuff. It's what's ironic is it's him doing an action movie as a comic book that's going to be made into an action movie.
Yes. We're through the looking glass.
I mean, really. I mean, it's drawn. We're going to get into all this, but it's drawn. It looks like an action movie.
Yeah.
Like, he actually uses camera angles and stuff.
Well, it's when I describe it to people, I say it's the most pure action movie on a comic that I've read in a long time. It is purely an action film. There's no superheroes. There's no extraneous elements. It's just machine guns and car chases and
but then also, like, similar to the A-Team, schemes and undercover and sneaking in and stuff like that. It hits all of those beats, but the thing is that it's so good
Yeah.
that it doesn't matter, and so.
It's set today.
Yep.
It's taking place in the world that we live in the continuing wars that are still being fought. They were good guys. They were American soldiers. Yeah. They were sent out on a mission by Max, the shady CIA operative, or we don't really. It's sort of unclear what he is. You figure it out at the end, but that's the journey, and you're gonna have to take that. Yep. And they were double crossed, and so basically they go to get revenge, not against the U.S. but against the machine that let them do that.
The military-industrial complex.
Who are no longer worthy of being part of the government. So, and they make that distinction early on. So it was like, so you're going to be fighting the U.S. And it's like, no, we're as patriotic as you get.
Yep.
Captain America-like, really.
They're good people. I mean, the thing is, the grouping of the losers are good. They're trying to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
They've been chewed up and spit out by the man.
They see this mechanism that they feel is destroying the country. The mechanism of the CIA and the industrial companies that are working to make themselves richer at the expense of the country.
Defense
and there's a lot of conspiracy, CIA conspiracy, and a lot of stuff that Andy Diggle has researched. There's a lot of quotations.
At the very beginning, here's a little spoiler. They steal like a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you gonna do? Oh, burn it. Well, it's not what we're here for. They're trying to prove a point instead of trying to get rich.
So you
not all of them are happy about that.
and which creates great conflict and creates and great character. You get, and what's great about it is that a lot of the characters that make up the Team of the Losers pick up the same names and kind of backgrounds as the original Kanigher Kirby stories, but Andy Diggle's fleshed them out into that they are these unique individuals and they each bring something to the team, and you can't imagine this team functioning without each piece. And when something happens to one of them, it's like it's deep.
Well, my favorite thing about this book is probably, outside of the artwork, is the characters, because they're totally archetypes of like the kind, like when you're putting together a team but it works. They work really, really well against each other, and they're quippy and they're fun and they're all uber capable of whatever it is they're doing, but they've all got their own personalities and they're distinct, and it's interesting in that way. You've got Clay is the head of the team. He knows what's
the leader.
going on.
He's the planner.
Right. He's got
looks great in a suit.
Yeah, and he's got convictions and integrity. You've got Jensen, who's the cocky, sort of nerdy computer tech guy.
But he's also they're all special forces. Right. So even though he's a nerdy tech guy, he still can kill you with his hand.
Gun. Yeah. There is
the sniper.
Cougar.
Cougar's the Snake Eyes character.
The silent sniper is always awesome. Like
he's the sniper who's almost always in shadow with his big hat, and he doesn't talk very much, and he's always the one who can take the impossible shot to save the. He's sort of the Snake Eyes character.
Yeah, and there's a great scene in this first volume that they show in the trailer. We'll get to in a minute. That's just awesome.
You've got Pooch, who's the
all-purpose pilot guy.
Fortunately, the driver. Anyway, Roke. I'm not sure. What is Roke? Roke's like the tough guy.
Roke is the badass second-in-command
guy.
He's
Jane.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, from Firefly.
Yeah.
Yes. Very good.
That's exactly what he is.
Yeah.
And then finally you have Aisha, who's sort of the wild card.
She's the chaos element. She comes to the team with a proposition. She's not the original.
She's not from their unit.
Yeah, exactly.
She's CIA.
She's from the Middle East. She grew up in the Middle East.
Right.
And
she's an operative.
Yeah. She doesn't like anyone.
She's an asset.
She's very angry.
Yeah.
She's also
the sexy, super capable, deadly warrior with a bad childhood will just as soon cut your throat as look at you.
Sexy.
Yeah. She's drawn super sexy time.
So we're talking a lot about the characters in the story, but we probably got to talk about the art.
Yeah.
Jock.
This is the book that made me fall in love with Jock's art. I hadn't really heard of him before this, and to this day, he's one of my favorite artists. If you've listened to our audio show, you've definitely heard me talk about him.
Yep.
And his work on all sorts of things. But this is my favorite thing he's ever done. Mm-hmm. The thing about it is it's alive. His artwork. He draws so many things in this cinematic way, and if you look at pages, they have he's like a wide-angle lens on
like a curvature. They have a curvature around the edges, almost as if he's drawing through a fisheye lens.
Yeah, and he'll just do a thing. If you even just look at the cover of the first...
The perspective.
Yeah, the perspective that he uses, and like somebody points at you and the finger's way out in front of you. Not in the way that Kirby did, but like in a hyper-extreme way. And also... it's kind of sketchy and kind of loose.
He has an economy of line.
He does.
He gets stuff done very simply, and it is sketchy and loose, but like it's not ultra detailed. There's not a ton of cross hatching. Like he'll do a nose. He'll put a character in shadow.
The sketchiness adds to the liveliness of it because everything seems like it's always moving. Everybody's in an angle It's not realistic.
No.
But it's not cartoony. It's almost a style of all its
It's
own.
not static. It's also very dynamic.
Oh, it's very.
And-
We say kinetic all the time, but it's very kinetic. It's full of energy.
And what's interesting is that his characters and his figures have that economy line, but then his backgrounds and the weapons and vehicles and tech are detailed.
He could draw cars, like
Yeah.
the muscle car, or like
Realism.
big planes,
Yep.
the giant ships. Like he does
Yep.
technology and vehicles really, really well. So and weapons.
Yeah.
And so you take those very human figures, the people, and then put them in like these really great, mechanical things and these solid objects.
Yeah.
And you just get.
There's some great action sequences in this series. He just does great action.
It really. I mean, in a way, they read like storyboards.
Yeah.
Yep.
But in the best possible way.
I think there's a reason why you can see the first volume is the one from the film, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
You can when you read that one, you can see stuff from the trailer, like
Lifted.
shot for shot. That stuff it doesn't need to be.
Because he did it already.
Yeah.
So they did 6 volumes total, so it's a complete story. This is definitely a go-to comic for like people who don't read comics.
It's 5 volumes.
5 volumes.
5 volumes. I thought there were 6. I'm
Did
sorry.
you remember
5.
earlier?
Yes, 5. Right.
It's 5.
So like whenever I talk to somebody who's like, I want to, I don't really read comics, I don't like superheroes, whatever. It's like, oh, you like action movies? Read this. Like
Yeah.
it's and the thing is, we're saying a lot of people know it existed because it's Vertigo. They might not have tried it. Totally try it. Like this, you guys read it and loved it like when it was coming out. I was late to the
No,
game.
actually, I read it in trade. I didn't.
I
I
remember
didn't
you
read
talking
it.
about early.
I read it in issues for a little while and then I
Yeah.
stopped and then I bought them all in trade later.
Right. I came to it late and I picked up the trades and I couldn't put them down. I went back and I bought the first 2 and I went back and bought the next 2.
Oh no, I read them as they came out, the trades, but I didn't. You came into it when it was all done.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, it's one overarching long story where the losers have to. They're searching for Max. Max is the guy who's basically the
pulling the strings
behind the scenes of the CIA, and he's the one that's caused their lives to go downhill. He's the one that's causing all the problems. So the whole story is about finding Max, which is
should be
arc.
said, by the way, Jock's not the only artist on this.
Yeah.
So that's what I was going to get to. Later on in the series, Jock doesn't do all the art, and for me, that's the only downside of the series because I feel like he's such a part of the feel of the book.
Yeah.
The action-oriented feel. Like, you've got good artists on here. Sean Martinborough's a good artist.
No,
Ben Oliver's a good artist.
Nick Dragotta, Ale Garza's great. Yeah. I mean,
These are all good artists, but I feel like Jock is so intrinsic to what makes the story good that when he didn't draw it, I didn't enjoy it as much.
The
so when he
gears
gets played
shifted
on-
a little, and
Yeah.
it was a little jarring. And then when it gets back to Jock, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
But he's the final arc. He's the first arc. He's the the ones that are important. He's the ones that you remember. I don't remember the other artists for whatever reason. And it's not that the other guys are bad.
No, they're good. They're real good.
It's just that
For some
Jock's so
reason,
good.
Andy Diggle and Jock working together on this title is that comic magic that happens.
Right.
And so yeah,
It's
The other
that
part of magic
alchemy.
that happens in comics is when they get paid because they make a movie.
exactly.
We're going to
So-
talk about that after this break.
Thank you to GameFly for sponsoring iFanboy. GameFly is the largest online video game rental service and offers you a choice of over 7,000 new and classic titles across all consoles and handhelds. With plans starting at $15.95 a month, GameFly members can rent 1 to 4 games at a time and keep them for as long as they like. No late fees, no due dates, and shipping is always free. Once you're done playing a game, send it back and GameFly will send you the next available game in your list. If you really like the game you're playing, simply click Keep It on the GameFly website, and the game is yours at a discounted price. GameFly will even mail you the case and the manuals free of charge. iFanboy fans can get a free 15-day trial when they go to www.gamefly.com/iFanboy.
The movie adaptation for the comic book is out this week.
Yep.
So all we had to go by is the trailer. We took a look at it. We wanted to just compare that to the book real quick.
Now, first off, out of the gate, one of the best things they did about the movie, and as we saw in the trailer and then the website, was they kept the logo of the book.
Yeah.
Which I thought was awesome because so many times they'll take the movie and they'll do their own kind of take on it, whatever. But as soon as I saw that logo, I was like, boom, okay, connection, I got it. So that was my first.
Well,
favorite.
and in that same respect, like as soon as I started watching the trailer, I was like, oh, they made this kind of comic book movie. Because apparently when Jeffrey Dean Morgan is in a comic book movie, they want to make it as literal as possible to the source material, as was the case in Watchmen.
There's a couple of shots in there, and I referred to earlier. There's the scene Chris Evans is in with the sniper and the shooting. That's lifted directly from the first volume, and it's
Not only
awesome.
that,
in
but
the
the
first
zoom
volume.
in through the finger. which
Yeah,
is-
it's great.
Again, this Anti-Up is the first volume. This is the one that they've adapted for the film. It's also in the big hardcover that came out, which collects the first 2 of these.
I don't think it was hardcover. It was a trade paper.
Oh, whatever it was. It was
Yeah,
the
it's
first 2.
volumes,
So That's if you want to read the story for the film, it's Ante Up.
But what they did was they did what looked like a really direct translation of the characters
really
to the screen and the attitude. I mean, very much so. And
Jensen looks exactly the same. Yeah.
And acts. I mean, and Cougar exactly right. You know, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan seems perfectly correct for it. You've got Idris Elba playing Roke. It's only a significant departure because he's black instead of white, but that character doesn't really have a lot to sort of go wrong on. So that works just fine.
Zoe Saldana from Star Trek playing the woman up there.
I don't find her as threatening. She's the only one that I like. I don't find her as threatening or as sexy.
Well, because in the book she's like a badass. She's got piercings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like she had an
Well,
edge
she's
to her.
Afghani in the book. I don't know if they're going to have her Afghani in the film, but
whatever.
But
She's
she
hot.
could still work it. You know,
I mean, hot isn't like there's a lot of people talking about her. Not
she's an Avatar. She's Star Trek. Two of the biggest sci-fi films.
She did have a big 2009.
She did.
And I remember I've already seen comments like, so she did this.
Yeah, right.
But she didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is like this is the kind of movie where like I hate to see it get swept under the rug as like a comic book movie or as like a dumb action movie because this is like it looks really. I'm really excited to see this. Like I'm gonna go opening night. Like it's so.
Should we talk about the one controversial element, which is off camera, and I forgot to bring it on camera? I'll be right back.
So
I'm back.
They reprinted volumes 1 and 2 in time with the movie, which is a great move by DC, and they're promoting it in the comics. And this is from an issue of Scalp.
This is from a recent Vertigo issue.
We're gonna throw up the graphics.
You'll be able to see, but they redrew the cover, which they pointed this out. None of us had realized they redrew the characters to look like the actors, even changing Rock to black.
Yeah.
And making Clay look like
Roke.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan and just like adjusting them all.
Interesting
subtly.
choice.
They didn't really have to change Jensen that much.
Yeah,
No,
but it's a little bizarre.
It's a little bizarre, but if you want to pull people, they're hoping that people watch the movie and then want to go pick up the book.
The only thing about it is you're going to open the book and the characters inside are going to look different than the ones on the outside, and I never like that.
Yeah.
But it's Jock. It's like the same guy. It's the look is right. The feel is right.
It's still that dynamic circle, which is, everything about Jock. And the great thing about these books, which we didn't mention before, is the covers are in them.
Yeah.
And those are
the covers are
almost
great.
The best thing about
the covers are really, really
But I'm looking forward to the movie. I think it looks really fun, and I think anytime you can get 2 A-Team movies in one summer.
I don't know why there aren't more series like this.
Yeah.
Seems like it would be perfect for comic books. They have
action,
unlimited budget.
Yeah.
Giant ships ramming other ships.
But the thing is, it's got to be good because when it's bad, it's bad.
That's true.
That's true. When it's got to be done well, and whatever Diggle and Jock did that makes this so good, you can't always recreate that. So
we'll have to see what happens. I'm looking forward to it.
So if you read the books and you liked it, if you go see the movie and you want to tell us what you think about it, shoot us an email at contact@ifanboy.com.
Or leave us a voicemail on our voicemail line 888-FANBOYS, which is 326-2697. We'll use your voicemail here or on the audio show or just for our own personal amusement.
Yes. You can write in at contact@ifanboy.
Or, because I said that already. So, you can go to the website at ifanboy.com and you can leave a comment what you think about it and go to revision3.com/ifanboy. Check out all previous episodes there. And I'm going to throw a curveball. Go to twitter.com/ifanboy and follow us for all great comic bits and news and stuff.
This is why I got distracted.
Okay.
Go to ifanboy.com after the movie comes out. There's going to be a special edition podcast. We talk about it. And that is that.
We'll be reviewing the movie in audio form.
Yes. So don't miss that. We put work into that.
Yes. So go see it, though. It's going to be good.
No. I know marketing, but I'm telling you.
All right. Ready? Bring it back.
Reel it in.
Center. All right. Cold open. Count me in.
Wait, I need to see.
I need to see. I can't stop.
Where's
The remote, please, sir?
the remote there? I put them over here. It's good. Okay.
I love the shows on the TV.
You are
remotes in.
moving somewhat this way.
I can't see. I gotta sit here.
They're huge now.
No.
I know, but I can't go back here because I do that.
Move to the left. Or your right, I mean.
Then I'm clouser to the camera. Then
Put
I'm.
a pillow on your butt. Move backwards.
No, it's. I'll sink. Watch. See.
Yeah, it's fine. That's fine. I'll slouch. Okay. Timer's go. I know.
It is, but we're doing. All right. Recording. Recordo.
All right, count me in.
3, 2. I'm gonna lose it too. I'm gonna
It's fine. Come in. 3.